So let's just look at what we're going to do. This is our primary part here on the left. It's a ring model. So this model is about 12 inches or 12 millimeters in diameter, about 18 millimeters in diameter, 12 inches wide. And we have several features here that we're going to be machining out. Obviously, in the center, we got this diamond air pattern that goes around the part, and then another offset pattern right next to it. So we're going to be using various continuous four-axis roughing methods to rough this down, and we're going to show you each of the roughing methods available. And after that, we're going to do some finishing. We're going to do finishing in levels, our level finishing, and then we're also going to show you how to rough this out in parallel finishing, because you can use parallel finishing. Even though it's a finishing operation, you can use it very well for roughing as well. So we're going to show you that. After we finish it out, we're just going to do some pocketing, four-axis pocketing in these areas. We're going to do some cleanup passes around the pocketing areas to clean these edges up. And then we're going to show you some different ways to machine these outer rims here. We're going to do, first we're going to do a facing operation, and then on the other side we'll show you how to do a profiling and clean this up just as well as the facing. So in this picture here, if you're unfamiliar with how four-axis works, the green arrow here is our fourth rotational axis. So it points along the the primary x-axis. So the x-axis is actually rotating on the machine bed, and the spindle with the cutter will be moving in X, Y, and Z. Okay. Now we're going to be using another model to show you the drive surface machining, and this is a true four-axis method, whereas the rotational axis and the X, Y, and Z, the three axes, are moving in tandem to machine this part. And you'll also notice that on this picture, the little green arrow here, the rotational axis again is along the x-axis. Okay, and you'll also notice, pay attention to the shape of this part, how it's not actually centered on the rotational axis. And that's a situation where only drive surface machining can really machine this part. And the other methods, you'll notice that the part is centered about the rotational axis. Okay, and let's see what else we got here. In this little picture up here on the right, it gives you an idea of how a typical four-axis machine tool is set up. In this particular setup, we have the fourth rotational axis is on the table of the machine. So if you look at number 4 here, and you look at the green arrow, similar to these parts, the models over here, you'll see that the green arrow begins on the left side, and it runs along parallel to the x-axis right here, number 1. Okay, so there is another configuration where the rotational axis is actually in the head. Okay, but that's not how our parts are set up for this particular demonstration. In most cases, it'll be along the table, and the spindle, just like a 3-axis spindle.
Hey Don, I just want to say a few words about rotary axis being on the head. I mean, it might be obvious or might not be obvious why the rotary axis typically is on the table, because if you can imagine, if the rotary axis is on the head, it can't really reach a lot of places. Right? It can't go under the part. While if it's on a rotary table, it can spin and expose the undersides of the part pretty easily. So the most common configurations we see is the rotary axis is on the table.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Yep.
All right, Don.
Okay. Okay, so basically that's an understanding of how 4-axis works, specifically in this part that we're going to be looking at today. And down here, we just have a list of the operation types. We went over those in the agenda. These are the operations that we're going to be demonstrating. R-level roughing, R-level finishing, R-level meaning that each cut level is a radius, okay? So it's going to be working its way down at various radii on the part. And we're going to be looking at parallel finishing in 4-axis. And then also we mentioned drive surface machining. We're going to be showing you another part for that. And then facing, pocketing, and profiling. Okay. Let's go ahead and look at our first part here. Give me just one second. What we're going to do first is we're going to rough this out. So there's a couple of different ways you can rough it out. We're going to do it, show you in both ways. So let's go ahead and do the R-level roughing. Now, I want to make a clarification in the R-level roughing. In roughing, just like you'll notice that the roughing in levels operates somewhat similar to the horizontal roughing in 3-axis, where you're cutting in levels, but in 4-axis you're cutting in radials levels. So your levels are actually radiuses working down from the stock. So in 4-axis roughing, RhinoCAM knows where the part is, obviously, just like in 3-axis, and it knows where the stock is, just like in 3-axis. So you don't need to select anything here if you want to rough out the entire part, okay? And in fact, if you do select something, you're somewhat over constraining it. So I'm going to show you, ways that you can adjust your stock so that you don't really have to select anything. Because if you don't, it runs a lot faster, simulates faster, and calculates much faster. Okay. So for tools, we really didn't mention our machine tools. So let's just go into the tools here. There's no real special criteria for your machine tools other than that you have a subset of tools that you can use in 4-axis. The tools are basically defined the same. We have ball mills, flat mills. We're not going to be using a corner radius mill. We're not going to be using the V mill or the chamfer or the tapered mill. Now, in small parts like this in jewelry, you probably will be using a tapered mill. Just be aware that that does take a little bit longer to calculate the tool pass using a taper, but we're just going to be using ball mills. Okay. Okay, so for the roughing and levels, we're going to be using the 1-inch flat end mill right at the top. We're not going to be looking at the feeds and speeds nor the clearance. Go straight to the cut parameters. We're having a in tolerance and out tolerance of 1/4 of a millimeter, and we're leaving a 0.2 millimeter stock on the part. And we're using a cut pattern, a stock offset, and a mixed cut direction, and we're using a 10% step over for each cut level. For the cut level tab, our step down is set to 1/4 of a millimeter, and we're doing levels first. Okay, so it's going to do one level and then the next level and then the next level. And then we do have a bottom set, which is actually the bottom of these diamonds right here. Okay. And engage and retract, just do a straight linear retract. Let's generate this. So you see that was pretty fast. And let's look at this in levels here. Now you see that we have a number of levels. We'll just work our way down. So if you think about this, if you're familiar with 3-axis horizontal roughing, it's similar, but you'll see that the levels are radii. If you look at Let's go over here just a second. I'm going a little bit slower on this part because it runs pretty fast, so we got plenty of time. So let's go to, let's go here. So look at our cut levels here. And we'll just go down. So it's just basically similar to 3-axis, but the cut levels are radiuses, and we're working our way down here in different areas. Okay, so let's go ahead and go back up here and let's simulate this. We'll turn the toolpath off. And what we're going to do is we're going to do colors. I mentioned we were going to do colors in simulation. You set that here. We'll set it to MOP. MOP stands for machining operation. Okay, and we're going to set our color from the properties tab and set it to the same as our stock color. Okay, let's go ahead and play that. So you'll see that the tool is working its way down in levels. And when it gets to the part features, it's doing an offset. Okay. So you'll see that it did a really nice roughing in levels, worked its way down. We had our cut level set pretty high. For this part, you would probably tighten it up some, because if you're cutting gold, obviously your tool is probably a diamond tip tool, and you may want to be only cutting a thin layer at a time. But that's horizontal roughing and levels. Okay,